June 6, 1944, 6:30 a.m., Normandy, France. 156,000 Allied troops storm 5 beaches, the largest amphibious invasion in history. But 150 miles away, across the English Channel, Adolf Hitler sits in his headquarters and does nothing. His generals are screaming at him. "Mein Führer, we must release the panzer divisions. Normandy is under attack." Hitler waves them off. "No, this is a diversion. The real invasion will come at Calais. Patton hasn't attacked yet." His generals stare at him in disbelief. But they don't argue. The Führer has spoken. So the panzers stay put, waiting for an invasion that will never come, waiting for an army that doesn't exist. Because George S. Patton, the general Hitler fears most, isn't in Normandy. He's in southeast England, commanding the 1st United States Army Group. 1 million men, hundreds of tanks, thousands of trucks, an entire invasion force poised to strike at Calais. Except none of it is real. The tanks are inflatable rubber, the trucks are plywood, the radio chatter is scripted theatre, and Patton, the most aggressive general in the Allied arsenal, has been benched to play the lead role in the greatest magic trick in military history. This is Operation Fortitude, the deception that saved D-Day. And it worked so well that even after Allied troops were dying on Omaha Beach, Hitler kept his best divisions 150 miles away, guarding against a phantom army. Let's start with the man who made it possible, Juan Pujol García. The Germans knew him as Agent A.R.A.B.E.L., their most valuable spy in Britain. The British knew him as Agent G.A.R.B.O., their most successful double agent, and he was about to fool the entire German military. Pujol was a Spanish businessman who hated fascism. He'd survived the Spanish Civil War and watched Hitler's rise with horror. In 1941, he walked into the British embassy in Madrid and offered his services as a spy. The British rejected him twice, so Pujol did something extraordinary. He became a German spy instead. He convinced the Abwehr, German military intelligence, that he was a Spanish official traveling to Britain. They gave him invisible ink, a code system, and instructions to send intelligence reports. There was just one problem. Pujol had never been to Britain. He was operating from Lisbon, so he bought a map of England, a blue guide travel book, and a railway timetable. Then he started inventing intelligence reports based entirely on tourist information. He reported that Glasgow dock workers would do anything for a litre of wine. Scots drink whiskey, not wine, but the Germans didn't know that. He claimed British troops were training in Scotland in such harsh conditions that they'd be perfect for a Norway invasion. He'd read about Scottish weather in his guidebook. The Germans loved it. They paid him handsomely. They gave him the code name Arabelle and considered him one of their best agents. Finally, in 1942, the British realized what Pujol had done. MI5 officer Thomas Harris brought him to London and said essentially, "You've been running the most successful counterintelligence operation we've ever seen. Want to work for us?" Pujol had one condition: "I want to destroy the Nazis." Harris smiled. "Then we have a job for you." By 1944, Pujol had created an entire network of fictional sub-agents. 27 imaginary people spread across Britain, each sending intelligence to Berlin. There was Agent 3, a Venezuelan student in Glasgow. Agent 7-4, a Welsh fascist in the RAF. Agent 7-7, an Indian named Rags who worked in Brighton. None of them existed, but the Germans believed in all of them. And that's when Allied planners realized, we don't just have a double agent, we have a weapon. Planning for D-Day began in 1943. From the start, one question dominated every meeting. How do we stop Hitler from reinforcing Normandy? The math was terrifying. The Allies would land 156,000 troops on D-Day. Hitler had 60 divisions in France, nearly 850,000 men. If he concentrated his forces in Normandy, the invasion would drown in blood. The solution wasn't military, it was theatrical. They would convince Hitler the invasion was coming somewhere else. Specifically, Pas de Calais, the narrowest point of the English Channel, just 21 miles from Dover. It was the logical choice. Closer to Britain, closer to Germany, shorter supply lines, better invasion beaches. Every German general agreed Calais was the obvious target, and the Allies were going to make sure Hitler kept believing that, even after troops landed in Normandy. Operation Fortitude had two parts, Fortitude North and Fortitude South. Fortitude North convinced Hitler that the Allies would invade Norway, fake radio traffic, dummy installations in Scotland, false intelligence reports from double agents. It worked. Hitler kept 27 divisions in Scandinavia throughout 1944, waiting for an invasion that never came. But Fortitude South was the masterpiece. They created an entire fake army, the First United States Army Group, or FUSAG, and they put General Patton in command. This was genius. Patton was Hitler's nightmare. Aggressive, brilliant, ruthless. The German High Command considered him the Allies' most dangerous general. If Patton was in southeast England, Hitler would assume that's where the real invasion would launch. But Patton was being punished. He'd slapped a shell-shocked soldier in Sicily twice, and the scandal nearly ended his career. Eisenhower had benched him. Now that disgrace became an asset. Patton was demoted to commanding a fictional army, and he played the role perfectly. He gave speeches to troops that didn't exist. He toured bases that were empty. He let himself be photographed at his headquarters in southeastern England. German reconnaissance planes captured those photos. German intelligence tracked his movements. And Hitler's generals reported, Patton is at Dover, preparing to strike at Calais. Meanwhile, the real invasion force gathered in southwestern England, preparing to strike at Normandy. But an army needs equipment, so the Allies built it, out of plywood and rubber. Dummy Sherman tanks, inflatable trucks, fake landing craft made from canvas and scaffolding, entire airfields filled with plywood bombers that couldn't fly. They even built fake oil storage depots, massive rubber bladders that looked like fuel tanks from the air. The Camouflage, Development and Training Center at Shepperton Studios, yes, the film studio, became the workshop for this massive theatrical production. Set designers who'd worked on movies now designed fake military equipment. They'd inflate a rubber tank, and from 500 feet up, it looked exactly like the real thing. German reconnaissance planes photographed thousands of tanks, hundreds of landing craft, a massive invasion force poised at Dover. They had no idea they were photographing a movie set, but the visual deception was only half of it. The Allies needed the Germans to hear the invasion being planned, so they created fake radio traffic. Real military radio operators sent thousands of messages using FUSAG call signs, supply requests, movement orders, weather reports, training schedules. All of it was fake. But the Germans intercepted it all. They had radio direction-finding equipment that could pinpoint where transmissions originated, and every transmission came from southeastern England, exactly where Patton's Phantom Army was stationed. The radio operators even created personalities for fictional units. One operator would always sign off with a joke, another would complain about the food. These tiny human details made the deception feel real. German intelligence intercepted it all, mapped it all, and reported to Hitler. Massive invasion force concentrated at Dover. But the real genius was the double agents. MI5 controlled over 120 German agents operating in Britain. Every single one had been caught, turned, or was a plant from the beginning. The Germans didn't know. They thought they had eyes everywhere. Juan Pujol García, Agent Garbo was the star. In the months before D-Day, his fictional network of sub-agents sent hundreds of reports to Berlin. Sightings of troops, locations of units, details about equipment. Every report was carefully crafted. Some information was true, but useless. Some was false, but believable, and all of it pointed toward Calais. Agent 7-4, the fictional Welsh RAF officer, reported seeing massive air formations in the southeast. Agent 7-7, the fictional Indian in Brighton, reported troop movements toward Dover. Agent 3, the fictional Venezuelan in Glasgow, reported Scottish divisions preparing to embark. The Germans cross-referenced these reports with aerial reconnaissance and radio intercepts. Everything matched. It had to be real. But here's the most dangerous moment. What happens after D-Day begins? Once Allied troops hit the beaches at Normandy, German intelligence would know they'd been deceived. They'd rush reinforcements to Normandy. The whole deception would collapse. Unless the Allies could convince Hitler that Normandy was the diversion, that the real invasion, Patton's invasion, was still coming at Calais. On June 6th, as troops stormed Normandy, Pujol sent an urgent message to Berlin. He'd stayed up all night, he claimed, gathering intelligence from his network of sub-agents. He'd learned something critical. The message was long, detailed, marked URGENT, and it said, "Normandy is a diversion. FUSAG hasn't attacked yet. The main invasion will come at Calais within days." The message arrived in Berlin at 3 a.m. on June 9th. Too late for the Germans to act immediately, but early enough to seem like Pujol had rushed to warn them. Hitler read it, his generals read it, and they believed it. Not just believed it, they praised Pujol. Berlin sent him a message. "Your reports are invaluable. We are acting on your intelligence immediately." The 15th Army, 19 divisions, 150,000 men, stayed at Calais, waiting for Patton. The 1st SS Panzer Division, stationed just 100 miles from Normandy, didn't move for a full day. Hitler refused to release them until he was certain about Calais. When they finally deployed toward Normandy, they were slowed by Allied air superiority and resistance fighters. They arrived too late to stop the breakout. All because Hitler was guarding against a phantom. For 6 weeks after D-Day, Hitler kept elite divisions at Calais, waiting. British intelligence monitored German communications. They could barely believe what they were hearing. Even on July 29th, nearly 2 months after D-Day, a German intelligence report stated, "The FUSAG forces have not yet been committed." They were still looking for Patton's Phantom Army. Let's be clear about what this deception achieved. If Hitler had rushed his panzer reserves to Normandy on June 6th, the invasion might have failed. The beaches were precarious. Omaha Beach especially was nearly a disaster even without reinforcements. But the panzers stayed away. Not for hours, for weeks. Allied intelligence officer J.C. Masterman later wrote, "Fortitude achieved a success far greater than its authors ever dreamed possible." The deception's success was measurable. By July 23rd, the Germans had only 15 divisions in Normandy. They had 22 divisions sitting uselessly at Calais. Every day those divisions stayed away. Allied forces grew stronger. Supply lines deepened. Reinforcements arrived. The beachhead became unbreakable. Some historians estimate Fortitude saved tens of thousands of Allied lives, maybe more. After the war, M115 evaluated which double agent had contributed most to victory. They chose Juan Pujol García, Agent Garbo. The Germans had been so convinced of his value that they'd awarded him the Iron Cross. Hitler himself authorized it. The British were so impressed they awarded him the Member of the Order of the British Empire. Pujol is one of the few people in history to receive decorations from both sides in World War II. After the war, he faked his own death and disappeared, lived quietly in Venezuela, worked as a language teacher. In 1984, a historian tracked him down. Pujol was 72 years old. "I did it to fight fascism," he said simply. "I never wanted recognition. I wanted Hitler destroyed." He died in 1988. His memorial service was attended by former MI5 officers who'd worked with him. One of them said, "He may have been the single most valuable agent of the entire war, and he started as an amateur with a guidebook." Operation Fortitude worked because it understood something fundamental about deception. The best lies confirm what people already believe. Hitler believed Calais was the obvious target. Fortitude confirmed it. Hitler believed Patton was the Allies' best general. Fortitude put him in command of the main force. Hitler believed his intelligence network was working. Fortitude fed that network exactly what he wanted to hear. Every assumption Hitler made was correct, and every conclusion he drew from those assumptions was wrong. That's the art of deception. You don't change someone's mind. You guide them down the wrong path while letting them think they're being clever. The Phantom Army, the inflatable tanks, the fake radio chatter, the double agents. None of it would have worked if Hitler hadn't wanted to believe it. And that's what makes Fortitude so brilliant and so terrifying. Because the easiest person to fool isn't your enemy. It's the person who's convinced they're too smart to be fooled. Hitler kept divisions at Calais for 6 weeks, waiting for a ghost. And by the time he realized Patton's army was never coming, France was already lost. The Phantom Army won without firing a shot. Not bad for some rubber tanks and a Spanish bookkeeper with a travel guide. Want to see more intelligence operations that changed history? We covered Operation Mincemeat, where a corpse fooled Hitler about Sicily, and the Bay of Pigs, where the CIA fooled themselves into disaster. Subscribe and let us know what story you want to hear next.